Fall Sports Preview.
I think a lot of the younger guys, a good core of them, got a taste of what it's like and how close it is to get to state.
Boys Soccer.
I look for leadership, and I look to highlight the leadership that we can draw from kids.
Lakeville South High School.
We are continuing our fall sports previews up on our website at kchkradio.net. I'm Kyle Zander. Today we are sitting with Lakeville South boys soccer coach Peter Benson. Peter, how are things going?
Pretty well right now.
Take us through a little bit. I guess you can't describe the entire season, but take us through what happened last year for you guys.
Last year we had a pretty successful season. We had, I think, 7 seniors that came back and added to the core of the team and had some good leadership roles on the team. We had a couple of injuries mid-season that kind of set us back, but we got everyone geared up towards the end of the season and in good shape. We made a pretty strong run once the postseason rolled around and ended up making it to the section championships, and we lost a heartbreaker to city rival Lakeville North on their home turf 1-0. They got a goal that was relatively impressive, but just kind of put an abrupt end to our season.
Something like that. How long does that last with you?
Hopefully until we meet again. We got a lot of the juniors and sophomores from last year's team. Remember that. It's the first time that South had gotten that far into the postseason. And I think a lot of the younger guys, a good core of them, got a taste of what it's like and how close it is to get to state. And they've really got a lot of drive. It really is motivating them for this year. I know I just drove by captain's practices and saw a good chunk of kids out on the field, and it looks like they were staying later than they had scheduled, so I think they got a lot of dedication and hopefully a lot of focus and drive coming back this year.
That's one of the ways to get prepared for the season, those captain practices, as you mentioned. What are other ways that you advise your athletes to kind of stay in shape in the off-season and be ready once the 15th rolls around?
A good majority of them play on their summer soccer leagues, on their premier, the C1, the C2, 3 teams. A lot of them do that. If they can't do that, there are some where they need to work or they have other obligations. There is a really strong weight room and fitness room program at Lakeville South run by Bob Curry that we have a couple of kids doing if they can't get out on the field so that they come back strong and limber and in shape. Other than that, on a personal level, I just have them. I did a lot of cross-training. I recommend that they do a lot of cross-training just so that they're not, sitting at home, hanging out by the pool, sitting in their lounge chairs, or playing video games the whole year. Captain's practices, it's a good 2 weeks. The captains obviously run it, and we've got some dedicated captains this year that I know we're throwing around ideas for having a really structured practice for including conditioning aside from, the regular touches on the ball. So hopefully just the last 2 weeks will help, get some of the rust off some of the kids and help, strengthen their legs and give them some more endurance for when our practices roll around.
When you talk about prep sports, obviously it comes across the mind of the athletes being involved in multiple sports and not really devoting themselves to one strict sport based off just the possibility of burnout once that season comes along. Do you see that a lot in high school where athletes just kind of get burnt out?
Yeah, there are a couple of instances that I have seen where there's just a direct burnout. There are some clubs that really push kids hard. It's win-win-win at all costs, and it may pay off skill-wise, but you could have all the skill in the world if you don't have the heart behind it. You won't put forth the effort. It's hard to lead that way if the younger kids don't see you putting everything out on the line just because your heart's not into it. I do see that. I played in soccer, basketball, and track, and I think just the monotony kind of wears on you after a while, and I do encourage our kids to go out for more than one sport to get some variety in there. I don't think that playing soccer year-round may, in the end, is going to be all that beneficial. So I'm out of the ilk that you need some variety. You need to sample this, sample that, and I want that in my players.
You mentioned that last year it was the furthest that Lakeville South has reached into the playoffs, the section championships. What other successes have you noticed that the Cougars have achieved over the course of their existence?
I think we're trying to make a name for just our sport in general. Lakeville South is a big football. It's a big football program, and what we're trying to do is just establish consistency. We're trying to improve every year. One of the mantras I have for my kids is that you don't have to win every single game. You don't have to, have perfect practices. But what you do need to do is strive to get better each and every day and come back better the next day and learn from your mistakes. And I think that kind of attitude is something that is catchy. I think it's a good way to lead through the school, and it's something that I think will kind of perpetuate itself as we build the program.
It's hard not to define a season success off the win and loss record, though.
I'm sorry, what was that?
It's hard not to define a season success off those wins and losses, though, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, winning is definitely going to get more people to the games. It's going to be more exciting for the kids. It is not everything. Granted, what I'm looking for out of my kids each and every year and each and every game is a win. That's what we expect. That's what we're going to fight for. But if that's not the case, I do look at how the kids perform and how they struggle to improve. There were some games last year that were behind a couple of goals, and I look for leadership, and I look to highlight the leadership that we can draw from kids instead of gravitating towards the attitude that if this one's out of reach, that we just kind of throw in the towel before the last whistle is blown.
Do you feel that you guys maybe stay in the shadow of the Lakeville South football program in some respects?
I don't know that we're in the shadows. I wouldn't put it that way, but I think Lakeville South football is a big draw. And football in America is a big draw. So I think there are comparisons to be made. I wouldn't necessarily word it that we're in the shadows. It's just, I guess I don't know how I would word it.
Okay.
It's a big program. I've got nothing against it. I got nothing against Larry Thompson. I think he's a fantastic person. I don't know how I would word it, though.
Oh, and also, I
think we're competing for some of the same athletes. Because some I know could go kind of both ways, and I think the draw of a packed house for like a homecoming game it's a draw. It's a plus for some of the kids that like that. But for me, I had a chance to play football in high school, and I chose soccer just because I love playing soccer. I love 40 minutes of uninterrupted play, and that's something that's just attractive to me, and I think that's what our kids like as well.
And plus, the bulk of your season schedule is in the summer anyways, and very often, little do your games overlap come the fall season, too.
Right.
What would you define, then, as a successful season for you guys?
Successful season would be, you can look at the numbers. Being over 500 I would consider successful. I tend to look more at the way the kids play and the way the kids lead. If we can stay together as a team, and if we can keep encouraging each other, and if on the last practice we are still giving 100%, we're still trying to make those improvements, still trying to learn from our mistakes, no matter what our record is, especially if we have a losing record, if our kids are still showing up trying to work hard, trying to work through our problems, I would define that as being successful.
And then coming up on August 15th is the first week of full practices for you guys. How important is for you that week for you guys to get out on the right foot?
Very important, because there really isn't much time before we get into games. We got to think a week and a half, and then we start games. There's not much there to work with, so we got to get some quick conditioning in. We got to make sure that it's not too much, that we don't have any kids laid up to start the season. I think it's very important to hit the ground running, and with the captains that we have in place, I think they're doing a fantastic job of getting kids ready mentally and physically to hit the ground running, and I think that'll have a huge impact and carry forward on the season.
Are you ready to get the season started, Coach?
I am. I've been kind of waiting since July 4th is when it kind of hits me, and I start getting geared up for it.
Peter Benson, head coach of the Lakeville South boys soccer team, thank you for spending some time with us, and we look forward to talking throughout the season.
All right. Thank you very much.
Sports Preview.